Let's go!
If we could address you directly right now.
Everything comes full circle.
That's number one.
I don't tell him what questions to ask me.
There are a lot of people around town that have the same question.
Brush my teeth. I'm a good wash in the morning.
I can't confirm or deny.
You know, just keep going a little bit longer here, Mike. Keep going a little bit longer.
Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
And welcome into ESPN 97.7 Newhouse Afternoon. Matt Lesnick along with Izzy C. Brooke Kilgore. How are we doing today?
Doing well. Last show of the semester.
Very sad to think a whole semester is practically gone by.
I know,
guys.
it's kind of flown by. Now, today is tax day, if you didn't know, and it feels like it feels like Syracuse is being taxed because right off the bat, Trebor Pena announces he's going to the portal.
Yeah, that was definitely a huge surprise and a huge blow for Syracuse football. Pena projected to be the team's top receiver, already named as a team captain. So him entering the spring transfer portal is a huge blow for Syracuse's offense, especially with the new starter and Ricky Collins as well, not having reliable target in Pena. So now I'm interested to see what is Syracuse going to do in the spring portal window in terms of the wide receiver position. So definitely a huge loss for them.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's interesting because Syracuse has now lost 5 of its highest rated offensive players so far. You've got McCord going to the draft, Rondé Gadsden following him, LeQuint, Jackson, Meeks, and now Pena's gone. And I've heard some reports that he may be looking at Miami. Wow. Ironically, as a place to land there. Of course, the NCAA is going to war, trying to get this settlement passed in order for them to, or for schools at least, to have either more restrictions or be able to pay athletes directly. And Pena could be scouting out Miami because Miami is one of the top, grossing schools that are paying athletes right now. So it's kind of a little bit of an interesting, interesting movement there on Pena's part.
Well, maybe Pena saw the snow last week.
Yes.
He was like, I need to get out of here. No, but he over 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year, 10 touchdowns. So definitely a huge loss for Syracuse. And a surprise as well. Wasn't really expecting, Syracuse to have any big losses in the spring transfer portal window. You don't really see that often in college football. Well, I guess like Nico from Tennessee probably just, set the standard for that. But yeah, no, definitely a big loss, and they're going to have to replace him somehow because they don't have their top 3 pass catchers from last year now, Gadsden, Jackson, Meeks, Pena now, so it's going to be hard to, fill that position that he left.
I mean, I was just going to mention that, and who do you look to step up at this point? We're late, and obviously you can still go through spring the portal, but it's
so late.
He was the guy you were looking to rely upon to be that number 1 guy, where he kind of had been this season. I mean, Jackson Meeks had some amazing games, but overall, Trebor Pena led the team in receptions and touchdown receptions, and you were kind of expecting him to do that again.
Yeah, and it's, again, like we said, new starter as well, so having that veteran pass catcher you could rely on, that was something that we were looking at. But yeah, I don't know what Syracuse is going to do in the portal, really.
I mean, the only position player they really have left that is going to return was their number 3 wide receiver, Darrell Gill, who finished with 31 passes for 570 yards, but it doesn't compare to Pena. That's such a big gap that they're leaving behind. And I mean, we know Fran Brown is proficient and really skilled in the transfer portal, so maybe someone will come out. I mean, we're seeing a handful of these really, really late transfers, but at this point in time, I'm not too sure who's going to step up in his place.
Well, now that means more play for Demetrius Samuels Jr., who was already expected to have a bigger role on both sides of the ball. Maybe be our version of Travis Hunter. You never know. But
I'll take it.
Apparently, he's looked really, really good in practices. Had solid showing the spring game as well. But he now more looks for him on offense, and he's going to be relied upon, as a receiver now. So maybe he focuses on that end side of the ball more so than defense.
And Brooke, was something you mentioned is that 5 of the top offensive players, including McCord, including Allen, and your top 3 receivers are gone. You're going to have a fresh start offensively in an area where, again, you were a very pass-happy team, but you thrived that was your biggest strength. The offense was just that good last year, so you got to wonder, what is it going to even look like next year?
Well, I'm curious to see if this is going to be kind of a testament to Fran Brown's ability as a head coach. If he's pulling guys and they can really create that offensive stability, is this going to be more so he can develop these younger players who are coming in, these new recruits that we're getting, and some of the guys from the transfer portal? If he can develop these guys, or if maybe we were just really good because we just had the talent set, and then bringing in McCord kind of glued the rest of the offense together.
Yeah, so that's something that we're definitely going to have to look out upon. But one guy that I'm looking for to step up, Amari Hatcher, redshirt senior now this year. Last year, he had a couple of big moments these last couple of years, big touchdowns, explosive plays. Now he's going to be one of the top guys in that wide receiver room, and he's going to have to step up his game, maybe even become that wide receiver one. And he hasn't been in that role yet, so that'll be interesting to see. But that's one guy that I'm looking at as well. Dan Villari as well. In the
yes,
tight end.
That's the one you're looking at, because we saw when Gadsden went down last year, he kind of stepped in as both the tight end and quarterback. But I think I was expecting a much bigger role from him. I was expecting more two tight end sets this year, and we didn't really see that as much. And I'm expecting him to kind of step into Gadsden's role and really take the passing offense or take a lot of the receiving load.
Yeah, you have two seniors that you're going to rely upon, Hatcher, Justice Ross Simmons as well, you're going to rely upon as seniors, but this is a relatively young wide receiver room. There's a lot of freshmen, a lot of guys that haven't really played a lot of college football, so Simmons and Hatcher are going to be two guys that I'm looking at, to step up and be the top two pass catchers on this team, along with Villari as well.
Yes.
I agree, and I want to know also, because LaQuinn Allen took a lot of receiving work out of the backfield, so I gotta wonder, how is it going to look next year with that? I mean,
Yassine Willis, he looked pretty good in the spring game, and he looks like he's going to be the top back or one of the top backs this year for Syracuse. He had a couple of strong moments last year. He scored against UNLV. I believe he had I have to check his stats, but he had 3-4 touchdowns on the season. So a limited role, because obviously LaQuinn Allen was the head of the snake, but he's going to be relied upon to step up, in the run game and in the pass game as well, because like you said, LaQuinn was great out of the backfield, and that's why NFL teams are starting to like him, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I'm looking at Yassine Willis as well to step off offensively as well.
I could definitely see that, and like you said, teams are starting to like LaQuinn, but his former teammate, Kyle McCord, has been getting pre-draft visits. He's been supposedly with the Steelers, and the Giants are the two most recent ones.
Yes, and for McCord, he had a great senior year, obviously, and if you look at any top passing metric in college football, you will find Kyle McCord at the top of the list from last season. The Steelers is an interesting one because we still don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be. They brought in Mason Rudolph, and the reports are that they wouldn't mind him as their week one starter. I don't know how much they really believe that, but, continuing to do work on the top QBs, I think McCord, that would be a great spot for him. It's a great organization, offers a lot of stability. Probably wouldn't have to start right away if the Steelers do really like Rudolph or if they bring in another veteran. So I feel like that's a good situation for McCord. He doesn't have to start right away. He can learn from, the second string or starting guy, just really develop in the first couple of years of his career.
And Mason Rudolph, if you were to learn from Mason Rudolph, that's not the worst possible situation. It's not like he's some just bad quarterback. He's a guy who's been in the league since 2018, knows his way around, especially the Steelers organization where he spent most of his career. I don't think that's a bad situation for him. The Giants, on the other hand, I don't love it from either side. I mean, I feel like it's just been, learning from Russell Wilson or from Jameis Winston is not necessarily a bad thing. But when they both signed as free agents, everyone's learning the playbook right now. Maybe not the best.
Yeah, it is a new offense. Well, actually not. Well, it's going to be a new offense for Russ and Jameis Winston. Excuse me. So they're not going to be really that in tune with the playbook, to start out. But I don't think that I think there's certain things that both of them bring to the table that McCord can take from. He can take for example, Russ's ability to move outside the pocket, his mobility, Jameis's ability to see the middle of the field, and really fire balls in there, so I think he can learn from that. And I don't really think it would be a bad thing for the Giants to get him as well. Give them that insurance, because, again, they do need to remake their quarterback room, and they did that this past offseason.
I'd agree.
So I don't think McCord would be a bad addition there. But, obviously, the Steelers, more opportunity for playing time. And, Rudolph knows the organization, knows the playbook, things like that. So I think that would help him.
Well, they also have Tommy DeVito still in their line as well. The question is, if the Giants decide to move forward with Kyle McCord, are they keeping DeVito
Yeah,
there?
they're not going to have 4 quarterbacks.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I would hope not.
But they just re-signed him, too, so it's going to be...
He'd probably go down to the practice squad at that point, if he's even eligible for it at this point. But.
Other Syracuse players, that are notable NFL draft prospects. We mentioned LaQuint Allen. He's been getting some love. Where do you think the best fit for him would be?
That's a really good question.
I would love to see, the Giants, I feel like it'd be a good spot. Because, look, Tyrone Tracy is more of a receiving back, and so is LaQuint Allen. But I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it'd be a good spot for him. I think
I would like LaQuint to go to the Chargers. I think that would be a good fit for him.
That's a good.
I would look at the Raiders as well. As teams that aren't going to put. Well, the Raiders reportedly they really like Ashton Jeanty, but if they don't go that route, LaQuint Allen would be great on day 2 or day 3. Somebody that they can have in their running back room as a second or third guy, and then that they can develop in the rookie year. And then he could be a starter for them one day. I think those 2 AFC West teams would be great for him as well.
I agree. Honestly, I think wherever he ends up, he's going to find a steady role, just being that kind of receiving back.
Yeah.
Teams are looking for a guy who just specializes in that at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a deep running back class.
I was just going to say,
yeah. So there's going to be a lot of value in these 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds, and LaQuint's going to be one of them. And then another guy as well that we already mentioned, Oronde Gadsden. One of the top, again, this is a deeper tight end class as well. So where would the best fit for him would be? What do you think?
That's a good question because
I think
for more of a receiving tight end,
he is a receiving tight end.
Yeah.
And I think Seattle would be a solid spot for him. They obviously need to remake their offense. After trading DK Metcalf, releasing Tyler Lockett, bringing in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold loved utilizing his tight ends last year. Just ask TJ Hawkinson when he come back how many targets a game he was getting. So I think Gadsden in Seattle would be a good spot for him.
I agree.
It's a good offensive scheme as well. And he could be one of the top pass catchers right away because of the amount of targets and the amount of yards that they're losing from
exactly.
last year.
Right now,
their top guy is Jackson Smith-Njigba, and he was great last year, and it looks like he's ready to be that wide receiver 1, but he's obviously going to need support.
Yeah, well, we'll see where all these guys end up in just a few weeks, but we're going to take a quick break. Coming back, the NBA play-in begins tonight. Some exciting matchups. Maybe, but we're gonna take a quick break. But before we do, this hour of Newhouse Afternoon is powered by Drivers Village Cicero. Go to dvoffers.com for more info. Stick with us. All right.
Take something really quick.
Okay.
I would love to see him on Seattle.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, just as a backup, it's a good player to have.
He was so consistent. He was so crucial against Philadelphia.
Yeah. He's definitely a stable backup, except when he screws your team out of the first pick. But
Thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Are you a Giants fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Steelers met with Shador for 5 hours.
That I could see them. I don't. He obviously doesn't fall to them, but I could honestly see them trading up for him.
He could fall to them. I think that's a possibility. What are they at? 20?
20-something. Yeah.
I think it's a possibility at this point, especially if Cleveland or New York's not going to take him.
Yeah, they're both. I don't think either of them are.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a spot.
I don't see the Jets taking him.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I think they're gonna roll with Justin.
Yeah.
And then if he doesn't work out, draft someone next year.
Exactly.
Or trade for someone next year.
Yeah.
Have you done the sponsor?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
You did?
He
Okay.
just
Right.
did.
I heard you say it, just completely blinked.
It's all good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see my text? Rihanna, did you see my text? Not yet.
We're on break.
I can do I just don't think they're gonna get back to me in time, so we can go after this if you want. Good. Better than expected. Can I what? I just don't know if the Crunch clinch on tomorrow night, then I can't. So
30 seconds.
that seems really close. I can go after 5 tonight. Here, just text me. We're about to go.
97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to ESPN 97.7 Newhouse Afternoon. Matt Lesnick, Izzy C., Brooke Kilgore. It's NBA playoff season, almost.
Oh.
We still got to get through the play-in.
Finally.
Izzy's favorite time of year,
Yes,
especially
Izzy's
when
gonna
his
talk this
team,
whole block.
especially when his favorite team is the number 1 seed in the East.
Yes.
But we have to get through the play-in first, which might be kind of rough. But tonight, tips off.
I think the play-in games tonight.
They could be.
Tomorrow is the problem, but
to start off, the 7-8 in both conferences, the Orlando Magic versus the Atlanta Hawks division matchup in the East, and then the Golden State Warriors 7 seed versus the Memphis Grizzlies 8 seed in the West.
Yeah, so Magic and Hawks, obviously, we'll start out with that. The Magic last year, 5th seed in the East, took Cleveland 7 games. Looked like they were going to be an up-and-coming, sneaky, top 4 or 5 seed in the East this year, and they completely collapsed. Injuries played a part in it. Banchero missed over 2 months. Wagner missed almost a month and a half. Jalen Suggs is going to be out for the rest of the season, it looks like. So injuries have definitely played a part in it, but this team's offense has just been one of the worst in the league this year. If you look at any offensive category, the Magic are at the bottom of it. 3-point shooting, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, whatever you want to call it. But I think they'll be able to scrape together and win against the Hawks tonight. The Hawks, they've been kind of in between this rebuild. Do we want to win? Do we want to tank? But the East is so bad at the bottom that they were just left with no choice.
Yeah.
And especially without Jalen Johnson, who's been out for the last couple of months and who's going to be out for the rest of the season, I don't really like their chances. Maybe if they had him, I would have liked them as a frisky, 7-8 seed. But he did so much for them on both ends of the floor. Not having him, they've sorely missed him over the last couple of months. They don't play defense well enough as well. It'll take a Trae Young masterpiece for them to win, but Orlando's one of the best defensive teams in the league, so I got Orlando in this one.
I agree. I do think the Magic, you're going to have Banchero.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, look, when he's healthy and he's on, he has been the last month, he's a top, you can argue top 10 player in the league.
Yeah, you can. He's all NBA caliber. He's that kind of player, yeah. And, Orlando, again, their duo of Wagner and Banchero, that's what makes them go. And especially in a winner go-home game like this, well, they will have another chance if they lose. But obviously you want to get the play-in game out of the way right away so you can have a few days off. But either way, either one of these teams, whoever ends up being the 7 or 8 seed in the East, their prize is going to be either going up against the defending champion Boston Celtics or the Cavs, who are the number 1 team in the East. So there's not a big win here.
What's the lesser of two evils?
You win, but at what cost?
Exactly.
Basically. So that I think it's one of those things. But
exactly, I agree. And as much as I said going into the year, I said the Orlando Magic are going to be one of the best, are going to be a top 3 team in the East.
Yeah.
And for a little bit, I was right.
Yeah.
Until about 5 games into the season when Paolo Banchero goes down with an injury.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
overall, I think when this team is healthy, they do have the potential to be that top 3 team in the East.
Yeah, but Suggs is a big loss for them.
It is.
He does a lot for them on both ends of the floor. And they're going to have to rely on their guards, the Anthony Blacks of the world, Cole Anthony. Guys like that, are they going to be able to step up, do that scoring and playmaking role? Defensively, I think they'll be fine. They were still top 10 in most defensive metrics throughout the season, even without Suggs. So that's just a testament of how good they are defensively.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a worry for them on that end of the floor. But I expect them to trap Trae Young a lot. I expect them to double Trae Young a lot. Just get the ball out of his hands and make somebody else on the Hawks beat them.
I agree. And to me, this is a very good coaching matchup as well.
Yeah.
You've got Jamal Mosley on one side in Orlando, who is one of the best coaches in the league, and then Quinn Snyder on the other side, who, while he hasn't seen the results necessarily, he's still one of the premier coaches in the NBA. So yeah, it might come down to who's going to be better.
It'll be a great chess match for sure. But going to the West now, which I'm really, really intrigued about, Memphis and Golden State. Golden State, they said their stated goal was not to be in the play-in after the Jimmy Butler trade. They lost a heartbreaker to the Spurs, to Harrison Barnes of all people. Now, some Warriors fans are asking why didn't he hit those threes 9 years ago in Game 7? Look, so here's Harrison Barnes kept them out of the play-in. Then they lost to the Clippers on Sunday. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden took over that game down the stretch. So now the Warriors have to play a play-in game, something that they didn't want to do. They're 0-3 in play-in games all time,
including a loss to Memphis,
in 2021. But I just think this Warriors team, I think they're going to run Memphis off the floor. Memphis has not looked like Memphis since the All-Star break. They fired their coach just a couple of weeks back with the season ending so closely. They haven't really ended the year that strong. Ja Morant, we've been kind of waiting for him to take that All-NBA step this year. He hasn't been able to do that. Been in the headlines again for the wrong reasons. Jaren Jackson's kind of tailed off a little bit. He was Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and
even so, he still had a great season.
He still had a great season, but the last month or so, he hasn't really looked like Jaren Jackson.
Agreed.
He's averaging only 5 rebounds a game over the last month, which as a 7-foot big, that's inexcusable.
That's a problem.
No, but Memphis is trending in the wrong direction.
You just lose Jalen Wells for the year as well.
Jalen Wells, that was their only chance of containing Steph Curry. Now you're gonna have to rely on Desmond Bane, and I don't think that's gonna end. I don't know how that's gonna end for them. So I think Golden State, I think they win this game handily. I think they're pissed that they're in the play-in in the first place. I think they use that to their advantage and setting up a first-round matchup with the Houston Rockets.
And again, that's going to be, assuming that the Warriors win, I can see them winning that series with the Rockets as well.
That'll be a tough series. I think that series could go the distance because Houston, they just maul people.
They're tenacious with Amen Thompson on the defensive end.
They're just a team of pit bulls. You have Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, defensively, Dylan Brooks. Şengün's been one of the best in the NBA, one of the best bigs in the NBA this year. You have a mix of veterans and young talent, athleticism, defense. And, it's just a young versus old matchup. It's just a matter of, what you prefer. I think that'll be a tough series for both teams. I don't know who would win because, we still have to see how the play-in shakes out. But I think Houston should be rooting for Memphis so they can, start their playoff run a little bit easier.
Agreed.
Because I think if Memphis somehow wins, I think they get ran off the floor by Houston.
Yeah, and assuming Memphis loses, they're playing in Oklahoma City. They'll forget a 4-game series. That's we're done in 3.
Yeah. So again, you win, but at what cost? But obviously, these teams would rather play Houston than Oklahoma City, who's been the best team in the league all year.
Agreed. And I think if we want to go into some predictions now, Oklahoma City is going to run through the West.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the Clippers. The way they've been playing, I like the Clippers.
And
I
can see where you're coming from there because James Harden. This could be real bounce back season.
Yeah.
He played amazing this year. Kawhi Leonard stayed healthy,
Yeah.
and they're both when Kawhi Leonard is on for the playoffs, it's wraps.
Yeah.
And James Harden, not a known playoff riser, but still.
But he's never been the clear-cut number 2 guy.
Exactly.
This is the first time in his career where he's going to be the number 2 guy. You could say in Philly it was supposed to be Embiid, but when you put 2 guys who have underachieved together,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work out. Kawhi's a champion. He's done it.
Yeah, so I can see that as well, but I just think 68 wins, the likely MVP.
And the Clippers would play OKC in the second round, and I think that series goes 7 games, especially if Kawhi stays healthy. But the thing is, that's the biggest if of these NBA playoffs. Is Kawhi Leonard going to be healthy? But if he is, I think the Clippers have a chance against anyone. I think they're the second best team in the West if Kawhi keeps playing like this.
I can definitely see that. I mean, I would love to see James Harden get a ring.
Yeah.
One of my favorite players to watch ever.
Yeah, no, that'll be huge. And then the other series as well, Lakers Timberwolves. Luka playing in his first playoff series as a Laker. I think that's going to be a great matchup as well.
I do too. I do think the Lakers come out on top because I mean, when you think about it, Rudy Gobert is just going to be a non-factor for the Timberwolves. His weakness is small ball. The Lakers do not have to worry about losing the center matchup there if they just go small.
Yeah, that and combined with what version of Julius Randle or the Minnesota Timberwolves going to get.
I'm going to assume the playoff version.
Because we know the playoff version has not been promising, especially with the Knicks. Now, granted, he will be the second guy next to Anthony Edwards. But I just think Minnesota, they've played great basketball over the last month. They've been one of the best teams in the NBA over the last month and a half. They're one of the only teams in the league that are top 10 in offensive rating and top 10 in defensive rating. So I feel like we have to take that into consideration. But I just think the Lakers have too much firepower. And, especially if Gobert is going to be played off the court, Minnesota is not going to be able to rely on their defense as much. And that means a field day for LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves, who are averaging over 25 a game over the last 3 weeks or so. So I think it'll be a tough series, but I think the Lakers come out on top.
As do I. I think the Lakers come out on top, and I do think we'll see a Thunder-Lakers conference finals there. Out east, it's going to be the top 2 seeds in my opinion. I've got Boston. I've got Boston. I've got the Thunder, and I think out of those 2, it's going to be the new kids on the block versus the seasoned veterans.
It is.
It could go either way.
It could, yeah. And then speaking of the East, your New York Knicks going up against the Pistons.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
That's going to be one. I don't know how many guys are going to get ejected in this series, but 2, this is a tough Pistons team.
It is.
And I don't know if I'm worried personally.
JB Bickerstaff's done a great job.
He's done a great job just revitalizing.
It's kind of funny that Cleveland fired him because he couldn't take him to the next level. They hired Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson's a Coach of the Year candidate, and so is Bickerstaff with the Pistons.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the Knicks come out on top.
As do I.
I think they'll be fine because I think the playoffs. I think they're more geared for the playoffs than they are for the 82-game grind because the playoffs it's about rotation shrink. It's about who your best 5 is. And in my opinion, the Knicks have one of the best 5s in the NBA.
Agreed.
Brunson, Anunoby, Bridges, Hart, Towns. I feel like that can go up against anybody. And then you have Mitchell Robinson as well if you want to flip-flop or go double big. But I think they'll beat Detroit. I think this is just going to be one of those, Detroit, like, this is your playoff experience. It'll be nice, to see what it's like. Maybe in a couple of years down the line.
Is next year your year?
Something like that. But I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough for the Knicks. I think this could go 6 or 7, especially if Cade's going to be playing the way he's been playing all year. And I think there's a case for him as the best player in the series. I still lean Brunson.
Yeah, the Knicks will have Brunson back. I agree. I think that it'll end up being the Knicks, and we'll see what happens following the play-in. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, baseball season is in full swing. The Mets are hot. The Yankees are getting back on track. And we'll stick with us on ESPN 97.7, Newhouse Afternoon.
Perfect.
Tennis just advanced to the second round of the ACC tournament.
Oh, they did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
nice.
Cool.
We can put that in the last.
Yes.
Four to 2 over Boston. Throwing that in right now.
Yeah.
Oop, you can't read that. Syracuse dropped to 7th place in the men's lacrosse bowls.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, makes
Inside
sense
the
after
cross.
the
Yeah,
loss.
they lost.
They were at 4, right? Before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just dropped 4.
Mm-hmm.
See where the women's team. Syracuse fell 11 spots. They're now number 16.
Jesus. Yeah, that's...
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Go tennis, I guess.
Yeah, there we go. Can we check out softball, too?
All right.
Dude, this Mets team is so good.
The Mets, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the best team in the league.
Yeah, I mean, Pete's hitting like...
Yeah, I know.
This-
The
he's
lineup's been really good.
Like, recently they've started to pick up. I mean, Soto's still playing well. Pete's maybe having the best start of his career.
Yeah. I haven't seen Pete start a season like this in a while. Lindor's picking it up a little bit.
He's not doing great, though.
He's not doing
He always
great.
gets off to a slow start, though.
Yeah.
Vientos has been horrible. But
yeah, Vientos has been really bad, yeah. But I think he'll figure it out. I think he'll
Yeah.
be fine.
yeah, and they actually played Luis Angel last night
Yeah.
instead of Brett Beatty, which is...
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, he needs to go.
Term. I think that's the long term, yeah.
He needs to go.
Yeah, and what was I going to say? Oh, Manaya's playing catch, too, for the
Yeah.
next week. So
Yeah, the bullpen's been
Bullpen's
amazing.
great.
Wasker Brazoban has been
It's been
lights out.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, McGill's had a few good starts. Yeah, the pitching's
Peterson.
been really...
The pitching, the Mets pitching lab is real. Like, it's...
Yeah, Holmes has been really good.
Yeah.
Like, considering he's never been a starter.
Yeah, I mean, he
Or
went
has
5
been.
innings and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
8 strikeouts yesterday.
Yeah, keep him at 4 or 5 innings, like, and then ramp him up.
Keep
to,
stretching
like,
him, yeah.
to, like, yeah. He had 3.66 or ERA through his first couple starts. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
take that. 28 strikeouts too.
I don't know if you guys are interested, and I know this is probably me just like dropping it in, and it's totally biased, but the Syracuse Crunch could clinch a playoff berth spot tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know if that's
Yeah, that
of
would
any
be-
interest, but
Word.
Okay, good to know.
they just need 1 point to clinch.
Oh, cool.
But they go to Hershey tomorrow,
Oh.
so they're not going to do very well on that.
Ah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Hershey being like one of the top
Top
5.
teams, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
And welcome back to ESPN 97.7 Newhouse Afternoon. Matt Lesnick, Brooke Kilgore, Izzy C. Going to the Diamond now. The New York Mets coming off a 5-1 win over the Minnesota Twins last night. Clay Holmes going 5 innings, striking out 8.
It's 28 strikeouts on the season now for Clay Holmes. He's been great for the Mets.
He's been lights out. And a lot of the moves the Mets have made in the offseason and just retooling and re-signings, they've really worked out.
Yeah, they've worked out to start the year. That's why the Mets are off to that 11-5 start. The pitching has been one of the best in the MLB. Whether you want to look at the bullpen or the starters, they have been really, really good. And this is despite, Sean Manaea being hurt,
Frankie Montes.
Frankie Montes being hurt as well. So the fact that the Mets have been able to get multiple quality starts from Holmes, McGill, Peterson, even Senga as well.
Yeah.
You're looking at your pitching staff now, and like once you get those two guys back, and it's going to be a deep rotation.
I mean, and you look at looking at the bullpen as well. I mean, just last night alone, Huáscar Brazoban continues his amazing start, going 2 innings, not giving up a hit.
Yeah.
Reed Garrett goes an inning. He hasn't given up a run on the year yet. Ryan Stanek has a 23-pitch inning. He hasn't given up an earned run yet. Look at the weak link in your bullpen right now looks like Edwin Diaz.
Yeah.
Which
which is crazy. Which is crazy to say.
Again, he's been a heart attack closer his entire tenure with the Mets.
Exactly.
But I don't know what even to say. I mean, this Mets team is just off to a flying start. And the one guy I want to point out, best start maybe of his career, just all around hitting,
Polar
is
Pete
Alonso.
Yeah.
Best off to a 345 average to start the year. When have we ever seen Pete Alonso do that?
Yeah, we haven't. And, he's been really, really good for the Mets. He's re-signed his contract a little later than we would have liked. And, looked like for a second there that Alonso was going to leave. But the fact that he's back, gives them that power bat, obviously. But his whole all-around hitting has been really great this year. The contact he's been getting on the ball, been really, really impressed with that. Continuing, off of his, postseason where he was full of clutch hits.
Yeah.
It felt like whenever the Mets needed one, he was able to deliver. So, him continuing that has been a welcoming development.
He leads the team in RBIs by a wide margin, but by 10 over Brandon Nimmo. He's tied with Nimmo for leading the team in home runs. Again, leads the team in OPS by a rather large margin, an 1136 OPS in 55 at-bats. I mean, he's just been amazing off the bat, and that's and it makes up for slow starts from Francisco Lindor and Mark Vientos.
Once they pick it up, this lineup is going to be one of the more dangerous ones in baseball, and that's why the Mets went after Juan Soto, because they wanted to make that lineup their strength. With Lindor, Alonso, Vientos, Nimmo, even Acuna when he develops as a hitter as well. So once Lindor and Vientos pick it up, Lindor's picked it up a little bit. He I believe is like 136 last week or something like that.
He's at 220
now. 220 now, which is still not great. It's not where you want him to be, but taking proper steps in the right direction, and he always starts seasons slow. He's notorious for that as a Met. So once they pick it up, I think the Mets will be even more dangerous. And Juan Soto homered.
Just going to say, great tie in there, Izzy. Of course, Mets fans can finally breathe that sigh of relief. That 15 years, $765 million contract starting to look a little bit better after he finally gets that. You weren't stressed? Okay. Well, he entered last night's game against the Twins with 1 home run and 4 RBIs total on the season. Some people are probably a little worried. Okay, you're 162 games every single time.
162
games. Exactly.
But no, it's good to see him get that start a little bit.
Listen, once we get to like June or something like that, with the player, I feel like okay,
that's when maybe it's time to worry.
We need to either temper expectations or we need to reevaluate. But we're only in April. I mean, it's still 50 degrees outside, so
exactly.
I'll like to let things marinate. But I understand what you were trying to say. Mets Twitter was going a little crazy.
A little
with the slow
crazy,
start,
just a little.
But Twitter is a crazy place. So
yeah, that it is. Now the one position I'd want to talk about for the Mets is second base, and it's kind of been a little bit of a revolving door. But Brett Beatty's kind of been the main guy there, and I don't. It's not working.
Yeah, I think we even said it at the start of the year. I think by the time we get to June, July, August, we're going to be seeing Luis Daniel Acuna take over that spot.
We saw last night he goes 2 for 3.
Last night he started. It might be a little earlier. And, Brett Beatty, it's unfortunate because, he was supposed to be the next great guy for the Mets, in the infield, whether it be at second base or that hot corner. But Vientos is going to be at the hot corner now, third base. And Acuna, he was solid in the postseason. He's off to a solid start this year. I think he's going to be the long-term answer at second base, and I think that means Beatty will be the last man out.
I agree, and it's unfortunate because, like you said, he was supposed to be the next David Wright, the next great third baseman for the Mets. First-round pick was the top prospect, and it just hasn't worked out. He's hitting 139 on the year, a 361 OPS, negative .5 WAR. It's just not working out so far.
Yeah, and going to the other side of New York really quickly, last time we were talking about this team, the Torpedo Bats were a big headline. But the Yankees have kind of cooled off a little bit since then. They did beat the Royals, though, 4-1 last night. 3 home runs from Chisholm, Grisham, and Rice. 4 home runs. Austin Wells as well.
Yep.
Beating the Royals 4-1, a rematch of the ALDS from last year. The Yankees now 9-7 on the year. They cooled off a little bit, but staying afloat.
I agree, and the one guy, look, Aaron Judge is always going to get his.
Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge is always going to get his. Jazz Chisholm has cooled off a lot since that hot start. He's hitting 175. He's still hitting for power.
Yeah.
He's tied for Judge. He's tied with Judge for most home runs on the team. But, I mean, the 2 guys I'd look at right now are Paul Goldschmidt, who is hitting .367 with a .909 OPS.
Yeah, he's been great.
And Ben Rice, who you move into that leadoff spot, he's looked really good.
Yeah, he has looked really, really good. Goldschmidt as well, he was kind of a low-risk signing for the Yankees. He had kind of a down year last year with the Cardinals, excuse me. So now he's off to a hot start this year. He has 22 hits on the year. He looks like the Paul Goldschmidt of old. The guy who would be able to hit for contact, get those extra base hits. He's been solid to start the year, and that's a welcoming development for the Yankees because the question was that lineup depth outside of Judge. Who's going to step up? You have a number of guys that could fill that role. Chisholm, even though he's been off to a slow start. Cody Bellinger, he's been off to a slow start as well. But having lineup depth is what the Yankees were trying to rely upon when they let Juan Soto go. So Goldschmidt stepping up, huge development for them.
Definitely interesting to see, too. Of course, the Royals have had a gauntlet of a schedule so far this season. They've taken on the Brewers, the Guardians, the Orioles, the Twins, the Guardians again, and now the Yankees, the reigning AL champions. So, of course, you have to give the Royals some credit. They're doing the best that they possibly can against the Yankees. That Bobby Witt Jr. homer last night, though, was beautiful off that 10-pitch battle. So we'll have to see if the Royals are going to kind of edge their way back into this game or if the Yankees are just going to go blow past them and then the Royals return to another gauntlet of a schedule against the Tigers.
Well, they play the Rockies after that, so a little bit of a rest.
A little bit of a break,
but
and do we count the Rockies?
Yeah.
The Rockies
as an MLB team, probably not.
Probably not.
But
they hit 31 straight scoreless innings last night before they scored in like the 5th inning or whatever it was.
Something like that. It's ridiculous how bad that franchise has become.
Yeah.
But the Royals, as you were saying, I mean, this was one of those. That was a team I had potentially making the playoffs. I mean, they took a big jump last year, and I was expecting them to keep it going. Of course, the schedule is really tough, as you mentioned, to start off, but we'll see if they pick it back up.
They're still 8 and 9. I think they'll be fine. And the schedule's been tough, as we've mentioned, but it does get a little easier for them. As they end April, as they head into May. So I think the Royals will be fine. Again, 162 games.
Yeah, just make
exactly.
A sticker for Izzy.
Exactly.
I'm serious. There's so many games. Even if in the NBA and NHL,
82 games.
82 games. Like you have to give teams time. Find their rhythm. Once you get to like the halfway point or close to the halfway point, then it's like, okay, we got to reevaluate, or okay, this team ended up being fine anyway. So,
well, especially when you've only faced teams with a 500 or above record, it doesn't really give you a chance to break out like that. All right, we're going to take our final break here on ESPN Radio 97.7. But when we come back for our final block of the semester, guys, we're going to be talking a little bit more about stuff here in the 315. Stay with us.
The 2025.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so sad.
Yeah, it's the last one.
Last.
Oh, we didn't do the bagel feast.
Oh, damn. Brooke didn't get the tradition.
What did I?
We always do bagels for our last show.
Yeah.
We forgot.
It's okay. Maybe next semester.
Maybe next semester.
Yes.
So how do we want to go about this? Do we want, because we've got a lot in this last block and not enough time.
What are we doing for the superlatives?
So we can do football. I can just throw some think of class superlatives like.
Yeah.
Most likely to succeed, most likely to become president, most likely, most improved.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Okay.
I think tennis is the most timely just because that game ended like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So we'll throw in tennis. And then we can talk about the standings for women's and men's lacrosse.
Yeah.
I do want to, if we can't get to crunch, we can't get to
we
crunch.
We can kind of go like a speed, just like rapid round.
Yeah.
Just like go through everything.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to go pick up that chick.
There you go.
I know it's going to be weird, like 2 Tuesdays from now, just going home.
Yeah, I know. I got to stay past, like...
What happened?
No, my only final was the last day of finals.
Oh. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, that's evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. It is what it is, I'm going on vacation right after, so.
Where are you going?
My friend and I are going, for a couple days, we're going to San Diego.
Oh, nice.
And then he's going to go home. I'm going to go to Vegas for a couple days.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
They're building a third esports venue on campus.
Where?
Oh my gosh, where? I'm trying to see. The Marley building?
That's the education building.
That's the have they already built that?
Well, it's the Marley Education Center. That's like down.
I think I had FYS training.
I had a final there.
There's no way they're building a third.
There's the one in Shine. Why?
We don't need 3 esports venues.
That's ridiculous.
Until I see, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is wild.
Have you guys been to the new esports?
I haven't been in it yet, no.
I know there's a major. I remember them emailing us like a
I saw that.
And get us to convert. And I'm like, I'm not doing
Not
it.
at all. No, thank you.
You can't make me. Just every time there's a tour group, I accidentally make eye contact with
I know it is the worst.
Yeah, it's what the last 2 weeks have been, just all tours.
All tours.
Yeah.
As the weather gets better, people are gonna come look.
Oh, AJ Store to Ole Miss.
Oh.
Yeah, these are such late transfers.
No, this is.
Oh, is that basketball?
College
Oh, okay.
basketball. Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Oh, we didn't talk about Syracuse portal stuff too.
Yeah.
Adding up the Georgia Tech guys.
I think did we talk about that last time or no?
No,
George committed like that
Yeah,
Saturday.
That's right.
Yeah. What?
Be back in 30.
Do you want to bring it back and then just go right into it?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Seven point 7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
For the last time this semester on certain Tuesday afternoons, this is Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7. Brooke Kilgore joined alongside Matt Lesnick. Whoa,
There we go.
That is not good for the final block in his EC. Guys, we have a lot to talk about in terms of Syracuse University sports. We took a trip around the NBA, the MLB, and of course Trebor Pena heading to the transfer portal, but some stuff has happened. Of course, the most timely news, Syracuse women's tennis is advancing to the next round of the ACC tournament after taking down Boston College 4-2, pair of wins in singles, and then of course taking away the doubles point. It was a close matchup, and it's good to see tennis moving on to that next round.
Any team that's moving on in the postseason is great to see in the 3-1-5.
We support all of them.
Shout out
100%.
Exactly.
Yes.
100%. Some other big news, though. Syracuse men's lacrosse dropped 4 spots in the standings, according to Inside Lacrosse today. Guys, how are we feeling about that?
Look, Cornell, #1 team in the nation. We knew it was going to be a tough matchup, a tall ask for Syracuse, to upset them. They did go into the game ranked 4th, so obviously they fall down a couple spots as a result of the loss. But I like what I saw for the most part, especially given that Cornell's been the best team in the country all year. Saw some encouraging things, but yeah, nothing really to worry about. You have Duke this Saturday, then you finish the year with North Carolina as well. So a tough end to the season. Duke's ranked 12th, North Carolina's ranked 5th. So 2 top 12 matchups to end the year.
Yeah, I mean it's good. Like you said, it's going to be tough. You go against Cornell, then go into Duke and UNC. It's going to be a tough way to end the year.
Yes.
But I think that they can. Gary Gates' crew, they're just going to stick with it.
And coming into the year, we talked about the gauntlet of the schedule that this was going to be. So,
Yes.
And the fact that they're 9-3, I'll take it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, definitely. On the flip side, though, in terms of tough schedules and tough droppings, Syracuse women's lacrosse falls 11 spots. You didn't hear that. You didn't mishear that. 11 spots to number 16 in the country, according to Inside Lacrosse, with a 9-6 record.
Yeah, losing to unranked Virginia Tech, that's kind of what that'll do to you. And that was a very winnable game for Syracuse. They left a lot of opportunities on the field. They should have came out with the win in that one, especially after, they had a tougher schedule to begin the year, and then, it was kind of a little bit of respite when they played Cal. But yeah, Virginia Tech, that was the match that they were supposed to win. You have Boston College this Thursday at Christian Brothers Academy. So that'll be a very, very good game. And, to end the season strong, get to 10 wins and, head into the postseason with some momentum.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Emma Ward making history for what feels like the 50th time so far this season.
I was going to say, she's always making history.
Yes. She increased her career assist total to 164. She ties the all-time program record held by Katie Rowan, which is incredible. So, of course, she's got one more game to break that record and continue on. So, of course, the grad student, we won't see her again after this season unless, I don't know, does women's lacrosse kind of have that, petition for a 6th, 7th year?
Did she have the COVID year?
They have it in college football.
I'm sure.
I'm
sure it'll start expanding, and I'm sure it'll get there. But of course, she's done wonders for this program. So excited to see what they do on Thursday. All right, I'm going to drop a little bit of Syracuse crunch in here. I know you guys are so excited to hear more about AHL hockey, but of course, this marks the last regular week, I guess, of AHL hockey here. And the Syracuse Crunch are 1 point away from clinching a playoff berth in the North Division. Of course, they went last year as the #1 seed, and they're looking to nail that down. They're going to Hershey tomorrow, which is going to be a crazy matchup. Of course, the Hershey Bears are one of the top teams in the country, of course, below the Laval Rocket in that sense. And then they play at Utica on Friday, and then they come back for the last regular home game of the season against Utica. So I feel like we play Utica 14 times this season. So, of course, they come back. We go see them. Galaxy Cup, have to promote it a little bit. But I don't know. Do you guys watch AHL hockey? Have you been staying in tune with the Syracuse Crunch at all?
I'm going to be honest, I have not.
Totally fine. This is the perfect time to do it because they can head to the playoffs.
It's playoff season. There we go.
Playoff season, of course. So going to be a really big one there, too. All right. I hit you guys with a little fun game to end it. Of course, everyone knows who tunes in that we love to do some fun little activities in our D block. So, to close out this semester, I'm going to hit you guys with some superlatives. We're going to focus it around the football team. Of course, the spring game just happened on Saturday. If you were there, you got to see, Ricky Collins Jr. debut and kind of put forth himself as the new starting quarterback of the Syracuse Orange. But Izzy, Matt, are you guys ready for some superlatives?
I'm ready.
All right. Who is your most improved player of the year?
Was this from last season?
Let's specify. Let's say last season, just because the spring game, like Izzy likes to say, 162 games. This is super new for this new team who has lost 5 of their top offensive players. So let's say last season.
So from last season to the spring game, or from
end of last season? So bowl game, start of the season to bowl game.
Okay.
Most improved.
Most improved.
Like who I think most improved will be.
No, who was?
Who was?
Oof. I think just Jackson Meeks.
Yeah,
throughout the year, I just saw.
I feel like Jackson's in the mix. You have to throw Kyle in there.
After those first two
tough year at I wouldn't even say tough year at Ohio State. He had a good year at Ohio State, just lost to Michigan, and losing to Michigan for Ohio State fans is the end all be all. But
Cardinals son, yes.
Yeah. But coming back, being one of the nation's top passers, I feel like that has to be taken into consideration. I'm gonna go Kyle.
I think that's fair. I'm gonna go Jackson Meeks. I felt he's just the steady improvement throughout the year, and especially he just had some explosive games at the end. I'm gonna go Jackson Meeks.
All right. Love to hear it. This one's going to sound a little silly, but I feel like it applies with the NFL draft coming up. Who is most likely to become a professional athlete? Who is going to go highest in the draft class?
Highest in the draft?
If you had asked me last year, I'd have said Aronde, but even with missing a full season. But at this point, I'm going to say Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's been getting a lot of love lately. He has a top 30 with the Giants. I believe he's going to have a top 30 with the Steelers as well. Yeah. He's been getting a lot of love. Apparently, he's been really good in his interviews and in his workouts. So I think, we could see him go early day 2. I think we could see him in the mid-second round, maybe even higher in the second round as well. I agree. I think but he could be a top 50 pick is what I'm trying to say. He's done really, really good for himself.
Okay.
I agree. I'm going to say Kyle McCord.
No, I definitely see your points there. I feel like most most sports reporters would agree with you in that kind of like mid to maybe a little high second round draft pick. All right, let's see if we can reward this. Most likely to break a world record. Let's say breakout performance in the NFL.
The NFL.
Go Arande.
Arande?
I'm going to go Arande. I think his skill set as a pass-catching tight end, especially with teams looking for that chess piece now, that joker kind of player, find mismatches all over the field. Because Arande, he can line up as a tight end, but he can also line up as a big slot receiver. You can put him on the outside. You can move him around. I think Arande, I think because of his skill set and where the NFL's going in terms of finding those mismatches, I think he'll be the breakout guy out of this group.
I think he has to find the exact right team, but I'm going to say LaQuint Allen. If he finds a team where they're just feeding him out the backfield, I mean, he could get himself having a lot of yards from scrimmage
for sure.
And so I'll say LaQuint Allen.
Yeah. Okay, LaQuint Allen. All right. In terms of this, I guess this isn't really a superlative because superlative is kind of the best of the best. But who do you think is going to struggle a little bit more in the NFL?
I can say Kyle McCord, honestly. I out the gate at least.
He's going to the Giants. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Well, I think for Kyle, I don't think he'll be starting in his first year, so I'm not going to really consider him. I don't know. It's kind of hard to pick someone that'll struggle because we all love these guys so much.
30 seconds.
I'll go Jackson Meeks because I think I need to see a little more from him. And I know he had a great year, things like that, but I do have concerns about his ability to separate at the next level because especially as a rookie receiver, you go through growing pains. I think he'll be fine, but I think the first couple years will be rough for him.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have on ESPN 97.7 Newhouse Afternoon. Our last show, unfortunately. Thank you to everyone. But the sports show with Cody Mack is next, so stick with us. Stay tuned.
The Sport with